I'm Heather Nguyen, a retired nurse practitioner and the founder and practitioner at Arizona Healing Alternatives. On this channel, you'll find several videos, what I like to call aha moments, where we'll be discussing issues that impact your health. So whether you decide to use Western medicine, alternative medicine, or even a mix of both, I'm passionate about you knowing what your options are. For today's aha moment, I know we're tired of talking about COVID and people are like, Heather, just stop talking about it. I don't want to hear about it anymore. Who cares? Everyone's going to get it. It doesn't matter. So it's important though, the first video I did was about a year ago on it. And I've seen a lot of very interesting things in my practice and I wanted to give you guys some more options. So I know we're tired of hearing of it, but I think it's really important to cover this stuff as to what I'm seeing and what you can do about it. So stay tuned. All right, so like I said, many of us want to forget this, but the thing is it's fascinating to me to watch. With any, I realize that many people say, okay, well, it's just another flu. It's just that, I get it, but TBM and what I do, Total Body Modification, we've treated colds and flus for years. I've got lots of corrections in this book for colds and flus. And there has yet to be a flu that has come back like this and created issues. And that's why I felt so strongly about doing this update for you guys. Because what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing from other TBM practitioners is we're seeing a lot of very interesting things that you wouldn't necessarily associate with the flu. Okay, so let's start with some of the things that you might associate. So for a lot of people, and I'm going to talk about things that some people are very controversial and some people don't believe in. It's okay if you don't believe in any of this, but I want you to know what potential options are. That's what I'm about, and I'm really, really passionate about that. So when it comes down to it, some of the stuff I'm seeing, let's talk about people who've had COVID, okay? So those that have had COVID, we talked about and touched on it because about a year ago, we were just starting to see stuff like this. But this post-COVID kind of syndrome in their clinics that are showing up, well, now I have more data on that because I am seeing people in the practice that have seemingly unrelated items, but they are related. And how do I know they're related? Well, I have the little vials, and the vials that I use, for those of you, there's other videos I've done on allergy harmonization. It's these little radionically charged vials that when you hold it here, if you get a weak response, it means you have it, you've been exposed to it, and we need to neutralize it in the body. So what I've done is somebody comes in and I'm hearing really weird things like, you know, it's so weird. All of a sudden I have this eczema and this rash that I used to have years ago that was under control. I'm seeing, what's more importantly, anxiety and depression. Now there's 3 case scenarios. One, where it comes out of the blue and no one's ever had that before and they just feel anxious. Kind of similar to when I see people in this perimenopausal range, and in this perimenopausal range where there's this anxiety and it comes out of nowhere. That can be a hormone imbalance, so it's not always COVID. But I'm actually seeing things that are related to COVID. How do I know that? Is because I tell the body to show me what it's related to, and it shows me the COVID vial. And what I do, that means it's related to COVID. Is that 100%? Nothing in the world is 100%, but that's how it's treated. But how it proves itself to me is that then I start treating it with that, and then the person's anxiety goes away. So you tell me what it's related to. So what ends up happening is anxiety and depression I'm seeing a lot of. I'm seeing a lot of, and the other case scenario, the 2 other case scenarios are, 2, somebody who has a history of anxiety, depression, but yet it was fine, under control for years. Then they got COVID, then all of a sudden it comes back. And the 3rd case scenario is where they were on, let's say, medications, and you can be on medications no matter what, but they have ongoing anxiety and depression issues that are getting better, but they're ongoing. They get COVID and it gets worse afterward. So that's a big one that I'm seeing. I'm seeing all sorts of different things like, oh my gosh, why am I just fatigued all the time? I'm so tired. Or I feel like I have the flu all the time, but I'm testing negative now and everything's fine. I just don't feel good. And that's what I'm seeing. So with that, I'm so, and I said this in my last videos on this, I'm so proud to be a Total Body Modification or TBM practitioner because the dedicated practitioners there give us updates. Like every 2 weeks, we get a new update on what's out there and what practitioners are finding, and we only get results that are reproducible. And that is true with all of Total Body Modification, that we only work on things that have been tried in the field, because the body's changing all the time, that we've tried in the field or other practitioners have, and other practitioners beyond that have tried it and gotten reproducible results on a patient. So we get updates on that. So what am I looking for? What am I treating? With those conditions, it's finding out with a vial and neutralizing it. With someone who's had COVID, there's an entire very long COVID protocol that I do on people, and oftentimes that improves the symptoms or can take it away. The other thing is, let's say someone's had a vaccine. Some people are like, oh, I had the vaccine, I didn't really feel very good, and now I'm just kind of setting this off. I have the vaccine vials, so I can neutralize that. It's called harmonization, and doing that. And then, whether you believe it or not, some people are like, well, I didn't have COVID and I didn't get exposed, but I feel weird, and the vaccine vials are showing. And they're showing in a manner that shows that somebody else was shedding that. Okay, you may not believe in shedding, but what I can tell you is, just like with anything else, if you have a flu, if you have a cold, you shed the thing, which is how it spreads and lives in another body, right? So in this case, somebody could have the vaccine and they might shed a little bit of the virus, which somebody else can pick up. Does that mean you'll get sick? Not necessarily, but there are corrections for that. So there are many different corrections with that. So what if we don't want to do what I do and you don't believe in it? Totally cool. What you can do is, I would suggest you see a naturopath. There can be some supplements that can help with this, that can help try to suppress this, almost like a herpes, right? If somebody has herpes, they have it, but they suppress it in the system. There are some schools of thought and different other alternative treatments that can try to go after and kill things like that. So for me, in my practice, I work on neutralizing it so it stops creating problems and the body stops seeing it as foreign. It's called harmonization. But there are, like I said, naturopaths, there are Western medicine ways of treating that and seeing, nurse practitioners, other people who treat this post kind of COVID thing. So what I want the takeaway to be is, if you're not feeling your best, and whether you've had the vaccine, you haven't, whether you've had COVID, you haven't had it, I encourage you to seek out some help, because you never know, it might be related, because this COVID thing, I'm sorry, I've never seen a cold or flu do this. So whether you believe it or not, yes, it's a flu, but it's a different thing that it's doing in people's bodies is what we're seeing. And it's affecting people emotionally, physically, and otherwise. Like I said, people are going, well, my hip hasn't hurt in years, and I hurt. We never know. So what I would request that you do is, please take care of yourself and please find the help that you need. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section. I'll be happy to respond to them. Other than that, hopefully this will be the last update on COVID that I have to give. Thanks for listening. I really appreciate it. Have a good day.